Hello, one and all. This is Luckless Lovelocks. Welcome back to 999. From far away, Junpei heard the bell ring. It did so only once. It was 1 a.m.
It's 1. I better get back to the others.
Wonder if we found anything. Didn't really get to see what we looked at, right? He jogged through the entrance of the large hospital room to find 6 of the others already there.
Huh?
Ace, Santa, Clover, June, Seven, and Lotus. So Snake is missing? Yeah, Snake is missing. They had gathered in front of door number 8. Or perhaps, to be accurate, they had gathered in front of the red next to door number 8.
What are they doing over there?
Had one of them found the missing piece?
What happened, guys?
It was June who answered him.
Jumpy, look!
She was pointing at the red. He pushed through the others until he stood in front of it. Immediately, he knew what she had meant.
Vacant?
Junpei sighed.
Come on, guys. Who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found it.
Well...
Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked as confused as June, but kept their mouths shut.
What the hell? What is up with you guys?
They all knew something he didn't, and Junpei wasn't about to leave things that way. Finally, Lotus frowned and spoke.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
You don't know?
They just turned on?
When I got back, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing parts were already back in the red.
Oh, okay. So there were parts replaced.
What? Let me see.
Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot that had been open on the bottom is now covered with metal.
You're right. It's in there. What about the other 2?
They're the same.
Let me take a look.
Junpei quickly examined the other 2 boxes.
It's just as you said.
Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still very confused, he returned to the others.
Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has any idea what the hell happened here, right?
Correct.
None.
Ace and June nodded silently. Seven raised his hands as if to say, "Not me," and Santa just shrugged. Clover... Clover knows what Snake did, probably. Only Clover lowered her head and did nothing.
Huh. Wait a minute.
That was when he noticed.
Where's Snake?
Junpei swept his eyes across the room a second time, but Snake was nowhere to be seen.
Does that mean that he found them?
I've no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either.
I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person.
Well, whatever he did or didn't do, he's pretty damn late. What the hell is he up to?
Maybe he's lost.
Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see. I don't know how he gets around in the first place.
Clover raised her head.
No! That's impossible!
What? Suddenly she was shouting.
Yeah, my brother's blind, but he's got really great hearing! He can get around as well as anyone who can see!
There was like a bang, so I thought something happened.
So he couldn't get lost! That's impossible!
Clover had started to shake, and the knuckles of her hands had gone white. She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears welling up in her eyes.
I'm gonna go look for him!
The words were barely out of her mouth when she began to run.
Hey, hold on, Clover. Wait!
Junpei cried out to her, but he was too slow. She kept going, and before anyone else could react, she was gone.
Well, that didn't work.
Now we have to find 2 people. That's great.
Damn it. What should we do now?
Well, the red is working now.
Should we go through a door?
No! We're not leaving 2 people behind! We should go look for them!
Oh man, this ain't good.
Oh, yes, what an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some piece of electronic junk. Now let's waste some more by looking for a couple of idiots.
Then remain here if you feel you must, but there's no time. We've only 5 hours left.
Junpei and the others nodded to one another and took off at a run. In front of the stairs that led to B deck, they decided to split up.
Let's split up.
All right, I'll take this direction.
Then I shall look that way.
I'll be over here.
See you all later.
Soon only 2 of them were left. Those 2 were Junpei and June, who had been a few steps behind the others.
All right, we should go too.
Yes, let's go! But where should we start?
Let's see.
Casino in B deck, the first class cabin B deck, hallway with all the rooms C deck, back to the large hospital room in C deck. Casino. I'm trying to remember what. I don't really know. I mean, it seems like probably the place we don't want to check is the hospital room. We were just there. Hallway with all the rooms might be a good choice. Because that's kind of what we were checking out. But I'm also interested in these 2. The casino. I want to check the casino.
How about the casino on B deck?
Okay, let's go, Jumpy.
It is Snake, right? Who named himself after Snake Eyes. So maybe that makes sense, kind of. They took off up the stairs at a run. Before they knew it, they were there. So was Lotus. She was leaning against the wall, examining her nails. She's really looking hard.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
She glanced up at him, unimpressed.
Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake.
I'm just not seeing it.
Really? Maybe you need to look harder.
I don't think that's the problem.
Oh, by the way, I've got a proposal for you 2. Care to hear it?
Oh, are we forming an alliance here or something? Is this like Survivor? Let's hear what she has to say.
What is it?
Well, I don't like to beat around the bush, so I'll get right to it. Why don't we team up?
Team up?
Yeah. What? You need me to explain it to you? I'm saying, why don't we go through a numbered door?
Even if we wanted to, that's impossible.
Why?
Jumpy's bracelet number is 5, mine is 6, and yours is 8.
So that's what? 11 plus 8. That's 19. So that means we add 9 and 1. That comes out to 10. So that ends up being 1.
Our digital root would be 1. But there's no number 1 door in the large hospital room. The only doors there are 3, 7, and 8.
Then we add another person.
Huh?
Who?
What, isn't that easy? 7.
Oh, if we add 7, 5 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 equals 26. The digital root of 26, 2 plus 6 equals 8.
Then the 4 of them could go through the number 8 door. But
Wait a minute. What about the other 4? Ace, Snake, Santa, and Clover.
Well, why don't you add them up?
That was simple enough.
1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. And 1 plus 0 equals 1. The digital root for those 4 would be 1.
That's right.
And you know the number 1 door isn't in the big hospital room, right?
Of course I know that.
No! Are you saying you'd leave them behind?
Of course not. What kind of woman do you think I am? Once we get off the ship, we could come back and rescue them, couldn't we? Then we wouldn't really be leaving them behind.
Don't try to lie to us.
But we need to take a group with us that can get through door number 9, right? And if it's the 4 of us, I don't think that works. I'd have to check that out. Need at least 3 of us that add up to 9.
I don't think you do anything of the sort.
Really? Why do you think that?
You remember, don't you? We have less than 5 hours left. Even if we manage to escape, there's no way we could come back to rescue them in less than 5 hours.
Well, you never know until you try.
No, you're not thinking this through. Even if we brought 7 with us, we wouldn't be able to get off the ship. The 4 of us couldn't open door 9.
Exactly.
It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Yeah, that's right. The digital root for the 4 of us would be 8, so we'd have to add Ace to make 9.
That's right. Unless we bring Ace too, we'll be stuck.
Lotus scratched the back of her ear.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Unfortunate? That's all you have to say?
She didn't sound particularly bothered by what Junpei said. Nor did she seem particularly surprised.
Well, let's try and find another way, okay? A way to get out of here with all 8 of us.
That's impossible. Are you being serious? And you do know that only 5 people, at most, can go through one of the numbered doors, right?
True.
The number 9 isn't going to be an exception to that rule. Regardless, at least 3 people will get left behind.
Man, I didn't think of it that way up until now.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
The moment he said it, Junpei felt a chill run down his spine.
No. Wait just a second. You're skipping over a really big detail.
Yes, what she said was true, but how Lotus could remain cavalier about so terrifying a prospect was beyond him.
Is that really okay? That means 3 people will die in the end. Are you okay with that? That's just...
Lotus's forehead furrowed.
Do you think I could have a moment alone? There are some things I need to think about.
She's gonna go do that math. Junpei and June turned and began walking away from Lotus.
That didn't turn out to be a very pleasant conversation.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Junpei's heart felt heavy and his steps sluggish. But he told himself pessimism would get them nowhere.
Well, regardless,
So he forced himself to smile and turned to June.
let's just focus on finding Snake for now, okay?
Yes, you're right. We can think about those other things later.
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
All right. Where should we go next?
Let's just work our way down the list.
Let's go take a look at the first class cabin. It's really close.
They turned around and took off down the hallway to their left. Outside of the first class cabin, they found Clover. She was standing in front of the wall. She was staring at a meaningless point on the wall, her eyes blank. What should Junpei do? I think we should talk to her. Shouldn't she be looking?
Are you all right?
He did his best to sound friendly, but Clover didn't respond.
Look, I know you're really worried, but...
He could think of no words to say that didn't sound hollow and fake. Junpei hesitated. Clover was so consumed by worry and fear that Junpei feared it would crush her. Her actions didn't surprise him. She had suddenly lost her brother, who she seemed to have been very close to.
Alone.
Her voice was thin and barely audible.
Alone.
Hmm?
Alone. I said leave me alone!
Suddenly she was screaming.
You're so annoying! Just go away and leave me alone! Just looking at you guys is pissing me off! Go away, okay? Just go somewhere else! Stop bothering me!
Junpei was taken aback. Such anger and hate. Jun's eyes had gone wide with surprise as well.
Why are you still here? Did you hear me? Huh? Fine, forget it. If you aren't gonna leave, then I'll just...
All right.
She's
Let's go,
losing
Jun.
it.
Yeah.
Let's go over there. They turned and left Clover. As they did, Junpei glanced back over his shoulder to see Clover wiping tears from her face. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation, but Junpei told himself that getting depressed would get him nowhere but depressed.
We really need to find Snake, for Clover's sake.
That'll get her back in the game, right? Did his best to push away the misery and depression and force to smile.
So, where do you think we should go next?
Back to the casino. I guess we'll go to the hallway with all the rooms.
Why don't we go back to C-Deck? We can take a look at that hallway with all the rooms.
Okay, let's get going then.
Together they ran down the stairs.
Oh, it's Ace.
Ahead of them, further down the hallway, they spotted Ace.
Hey, Snake! Where are you? Answer me if you're there!
What should Junpei do? Yeah, let's talk
go.
to Ace. I don't know what effect this is gonna have, but with Jun in tow, Junpei jogged up to Ace. Hearing their footsteps, he turned to greet them.
Ah, hello there. Snake is... well, that's obvious, isn't it? I assume you haven't found him yet?
Yeah, doesn't seem like you're having any luck either.
I really wonder where he could have gone.
Well, wherever he's disappeared to, we must find him as quickly as we can. For Clover's sake.
For all of our sake as well.
Right.
Jun's face looked kinda enraptured.
By the way, do you think Clover and Snake are really siblings?
Why would you say that?
She looks so surprised. Why would you say that? The question seemed somehow odd to Junpei.
Why? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They don't look alike at all.
Ace looked at him for a moment and then spoke.
Yes, you know, now that you mention it, they don't.
Now that you mention it,
Still, there are a great many siblings who do not look like one another.
it's true.
It certainly isn't rare.
Could be step siblings too. They're just not telling us that. Junpei wasn't sure why, or even if he was seeing what he thought he was, but he could have sworn that Ace's face tightened as he spoke.
At any rate, we really must find Snake as soon as possible. The clock is ticking. We really can't afford to waste any time. Very well. Let's get back to the search, shall we? You can leave this area to me.
All right. Let's go, Jumpy.
At Jun's urging, they left. They found themselves back at the stairs, but Junpei's mind was in turmoil.
Something about that was... I'll think on it later.
Maybe he knows something about them that we're not aware of?
Like Ace said, finding Snake is our top priority.
Junpei did his best to clear
All
his
right.
mind.
Where should we go next?
Guess we're going back to the hospital room? We've been everywhere else.
Why don't we go back to the big hospital room?
Okay, let's go then.
They turned and headed back toward the large hospital room.
Hey, wait. That's...
On their way to the large hospital room, Junpei and June notice Santa standing next to the number 3 door.
Santa?
Junpei paused. What did Junpei do? Obviously, we're going to talk to him. Junpei and June walked up to Santa.
What are you doing?
What? You can't tell? I'm checking out the red.
Why? Is there something bothering you?
What? It's not bothering you?
Huh?
I'm just trying to think, what doors have we seen so far? Assuming there's going to be one of each, right? We've seen, we started with 4 and 5. There's 3. And, there's 8? And was the other one 7? Can't remember. Just writing them down here.
The guts of this red. Why wouldn't you wonder who the hell put it back in here?
Yeah, that's true.
I guess we have to assume it was Snake?
Well, I'm curious too, but...
Who do you think did it?
Santa's eyes narrowed as he looked at June. She shook her head.
I don't know.
Well, what about you, Junpei? Who do you think fixed this thing for us?
Someone other than the 8 of them. Otis, Snake, 0. Tough for Snake to do it, though. I don't really know, but I'm gonna guess Snake just because he's the only one that's been missing, right?
Well, it seems like it would have to be Snake, wouldn't it? Maybe he got back here before any of us. He found the parts somewhere, put them back, and then went through one of the numbered doors.
No, it's not possible. You have to authenticate with at least 3 people, or the red won't open the door. There's no way a single person could get through there by themselves.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It was a stupid mistake, and Junpei knew it. How had he made such a foolish miscalculation? And how had Santa noticed it so quickly? Perhaps he just wasn't as clever as he used to be. Junpei shook his head sadly.
So, in other words, one of us is the person who fixed the red.
Santa grinned.
Bingo! We have a winner!
But if that's true, then the person who did it doesn't want the rest of us to know that they fixed it.
Yeah.
But why?
No idea. Maybe if they come clean on that, it means we'd find out something else. Something bad.
Something bad?
Dunno. But whatever it is, it's gotta be worth hiding. Of course, it could have something to do with Snake's disappearance.
You think maybe they did something to Snake?
Yeah.
Junpei stared at Santa. There was something about him that made Junpei wary. At first, he'd assumed the other man wasn't terribly clever. But Junpei was beginning to think he would need to reevaluate that assessment. When Santa spoke again, his voice was quiet.
Look, if you trust anybody in this game, you're gonna lose. You've gotta be careful. The person you trust the most could turn out to be the one who stabs you in the back.
That depressing suggestion, he turned and quietly walked away.
And that's that, I guess.
June's like, you clearly trust me the most. Junpei and June looked at one another and smiled awkwardly. Where'd they go next? I guess we're done searching. I don't know what happens if we go back to a place that we have already searched. I guess I could try... Let's try the casino again.
Let's go take a look around the casino.
Okay.
There's no one. Let's try somewhere else.
Okay.
Hey,
go back to the hospital.
why don't we go back?
Sure.
I don't think anyone is here.
Let's finish searching. They looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found. Something really bad's gonna happen, I could tell.
Snake hasn't been anywhere we've searched.
Lotus looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke. Was it Lotus that did it? She seemed so anxious to get out of here. Maybe it was her.
And we can't keep looking for him. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving.
Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to be having similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, 7 spoke.
We don't got a choice. Lotus is right.
Kind of like... we're gonna need to leave 3 behind anyways, right? Maybe I'm thinking like Lotus. Maybe do you think Lotus killed him or something? Do you think one of us killed him? God.
We're not gonna find Snake. There's a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's gonna go through which door.
Yes, I have a proposal.
She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. 378. Just making some notes here. 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So 3 and 4 were... Sorry, it was 4 and 5 that were together, right, at the beginning. And then 3, 7, 8 were together. 4, 5... 3, 7, 8. So we still have 1, 2, and 9, right? And 6. 1, 2, 6, 9. And I don't know if there's a 0. I doubt it. All right.
Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice?
What?
Sacrifice?
Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind.
That is some harsh logic. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. Wait, are we what are we doing here? Not sure she was right. Are we deciding to do this? So I'm not clear on. So I'm gonna pick not sure. Junpei wasn't quite sure that was true.
Wait a minute. 2 people get left behind if we split into 5 and 2. And 1 person is left behind if we split into 3, 3, and 1. I got that part. You can't go through the numbered doors with any less than 3 people. But if we split into 4 and 3, then why do 3 people have to be left behind?
Just run the numbers. Let's say we go through door 7 with 1, 4, 5, 6.
So she's done all the math, I guess, and she realizes that any combination of 3 people that are left over won't be able to open the other door.
Who's left over?
That would be 3, 7, 8.
What's the digital root for that?
3 plus 7 plus 8 is 18, so add 1 and 8, 9.
Who's 3, 7, 8? Silver, Mountain, and Dancer. Lotus, sorry. So Lotus, 7, obviously, and Santa.
Exactly. But door 9 isn't here, right? That means 3, 7, 8 won't be going anywhere. That was just an example, of course. There are a lot of different combinations, but the result will always be the same. It doesn't matter which 4 it is. The 3 that are left over can't go through any of the doors. Go ahead and calculate it if you have the time. You'll see. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, if we can get back to my proposal. We only have to sacrifice one person if we split into 3, 3, and 1.
When Seven spoke, his voice was strained.
Then you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind.
Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logically and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are to survive, then one person has to sacrifice themselves.
No, that's too cruel!
What's so cruel about it?
To just sacrifice someone like that?
Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1.
That's not what I meant! We shouldn't sacrifice anyone!
I told you, that's impossible. Wake up.
Whoa, whoa, calm down, you two.
Santa stepped between Lotus and June.
Look, what Lotus is trying to say is, you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right?
Exactly. That's how democracy works. And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote.
Oh, man.
What do you think?
No! That's terrible!
I'm not asking you. Shut up.
Can we vote for Lotus?
What about you, Santa?
Me? Well, I agree, I guess.
All right, that's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. 7.
I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die.
Oh, glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover?
Clover had moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Okay. She would be the choice to leave behind because she'll probably want to stay in case Snake comes around. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal. Which is like, doesn't that bug you guys? It feels like it was calculated. Which once again kind of reeks of Lotus. She seems to be the most calculated, the one that's actually like really playing this game.
Hey, Clover.
Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder.
Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors.
Doesn't have to be. Could be still hidden, right?
We've searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow?
Clover slowly lifted her face.
Let's go look for him together, okay?
Maybe not.
If we sacrifice one person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right?
Okay.
Oh man, she's good. Clover nodded once.
The motion carries.
Lotus spun around and walked towards Junpei.
Now, let's start a vote too.
That won't be necessary.
Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. He didn't seem to notice or even care.
I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes?
Wow. Gonna be a lot of exclamation marks.
Ace, what are you saying? No, you can't do that! That won't solve anything!
June's voice shook, and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Ace simply looked at her.
June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself.
Huh?
I trust you. Each and every one of you.
Can we come back? Like, That's one thing I don't really understand. Can we come back and maybe bring him forward?
I believe you'll come back for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's optimistic, and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out.
Okay, so we can't come out.
If we go through them.
You won't be able to return, correct?
Yeah.
True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship.
What?
Please, I beg you. Once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally, within the time limit Zero has given us.
No, that's ridiculous. There's no way we could get back in time.
Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer.
We've only got 5 hours left. We don't even know where the hell we are. How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you?
Then, perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me?
No.
Or perhaps you would
We're all good.
leave June behind?
Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal.
You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go, quickly.
Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lip so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against the wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace, with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others.
Good. Let's accept his kind offer then.
She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own.
Good. I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. It may be my age, but I get tired so easily these days.
The tone in his voice is creeping me out. As he spoke, Ace lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until their time limit was up? Already, D-Deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first. And we'll find out what she says and what we're going to do on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. This is Luckless Lovelocks signing off for now, and I love you all.